Welcome to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Lola's got her hands in her face and shaking no. So,
I just had a brain freeze like you would not believe. I'm just sitting here watching you guys going da 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 da.
She's having a good time. That's what it's all about.
Am I on?
I don't know. What color are you? Red. No, you're not. Okay, now you are.
Hello.
See, we don't like Nick talking, and that's how it goes.
Wait, did those mics get switched?
Well, yeah, I switched over from green to red. I'm sorry. That was my fault. But,
See?
6:07 p.m.
And cold.
And cold. Nice and chilly here in downtown Wing. Steve's shaking his head no. I didn't do anything, Steve. I messed up Steve's show earlier. I came in, I was talking trash, and he's giving me the evil look right now through the door.
Look.
He's giving me the look, the chick look. He's giving me the look that women give when they're angered.
I'm glad I can't see.
Oh, jeez.
I'm glad I can't see.
So if I'm not here next week, everybody, that means Steve tracked me down and slaughtered me.
All he wants you to do is find the dog.
Yeah, he wants me to find a dog.
Yeah.
We'll find it. Okay.
We'll get your beagle. Don't worry.
So you had some announcements?
Give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, toll free, 1-866-514-1600. Some announcements. October is Fire Prevention Month. Philadelphia Volunteer Fire Department wants to remind everybody to make sure you change your battery in your smoke detector when you change your clock backs for daylight savings.
When is that?
I think it's 1st of November, like the first week of November.
I thought it was earlier. I always thought it was in October.
I think
it used to be, and then they changed it.
Oh.
They changed it. They figure we really don't need it that much anymore. I guess. I don't know how that works. Also, we have Haunted Hills, the new thing in Grandview Park. Excuse me. The Mike Drzako, who used to do the morning show, is now working with the tourism in Marshall County and started a haunted house up in Grandview Park. And this is going to be the first year, the new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of it.
You are? What are you doing?
I'm going to be in a costume and jumping around trying to
scare
spook people.
You don't need to dress up.
What?
I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud too? Oh my. I'm having real problems
and I'm going out tonight. So if you go, any of the blood you see is created by Jordan Klein at Whispers Radio. No, it's not my blood. It's not the O negative that runs through these veins. But
what'd you use? Karo syrup?
Yeah, I haven't made it yet. I'm going out tonight to buy the stuff. We're gonna do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But come. I'll be there Thursday nights. This is my for sure night. So everybody come out. We have tonight at 5 o'clock is going to be like our last meeting. Any volunteers that want to come out to do anything, to dress up, to help out with the kids, to walk people around, come tonight at 5 o'clock, Grandview Park in Moundsville. We definitely could use some help.
See, you guys, I would do this, but the weather has turned so drastically, so quickly that by the end of October, we could have snow.
So?
It actually was the other day. It was scheduled for snow this Saturday. For a little bit on the forecast thing I was looking at.
You can be scared with snow on the ground.
I can't be outside with snow on the ground. That's my problem.
Was that a horror movie?
Jack Frost. Yeah. See, people are just
my son's already been clearing off snow off of roofs already.
That's crazy.
Colorado.
That's
I know.
crazy talk.
Yes, it is.
The end of the show today, we're going to be giving away tickets for that. Oh. So keep in touch. When we say call in, have a story or something ready, we're going to be giving some stuff away. I want to introduce our first guest?
Sure. She's the author. Her name's Christine Rose. She's the author of first book was Rowan of the Woods. Her new book that just came out, I believe, yesterday, October 12th, is Witch on the Water. Christine, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for being a part. Now, your books, what are they about? Because they don't Rowan of the Wood and a sequel about a witch. What does that mean?
Well, Rowan of the Wood is about a boy who finds a magic wand buried in the redwood forest, and inside the wand's trapped a 1,400-year-old wizard.
Oh.
Now,
based in Celtic mythology. It's a magical modern-day adventure tale with frequent visits to the past, because we do follow Fiona's very long journey through those 14 centuries. This is Rowan's wife. They were separated on their wedding day. Rowan passed that time in like a blink of an eye. He was suspended in time, but she took a very long, hard road, using deeper, darker magics to stay alive, to find the wand and release her husband, until ultimately she had to give up her soul to become a vampire just to stay alive. And the sequel, Witch on the Water, you'll see if you see it on Amazon or like on the web somewhere, that very hot-looking vampire on the cover, that is Fiona.
Ooh la la. Now, is this based on personal experience?
Well, in a way it is. Absolutely. That Cullen, who's the young boy who finds the magic wand, he lives in an unfortunate foster situation, and his childhood, or his life, is loosely based on my husband and co-author's Ethan's childhood, who grew up in foster care in Northern California in the Redwoods. And although he didn't find a wand, I'm sure that he dreamt of something as magical like this happening to him. He got lost in books just like Cullen did, and so it is partly personal experience.
So would you be the vampire chick?
I am the witch on the water.
You are the witch on the water. Now, see, I would get mad if I was, let's say, my significant other was writing a story and referenced me as the witch.
Fiona was
the soulless beast
creation,
that tamed.
Right? Yeah.
Christine, just ignore him. Sometimes he does get a little out of hand.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, not at all. Yeah, actually, Fiona was like my construct of I've always had a thing for vampires, very much so, and toward the darkness. And so she, having her turn into a vampire and as sadistic as she becomes, is definitely my influence.
I love it.
Yes, so much honesty. Boy, you don't want me to start opening up.
Oh, yeah, but it's a lot of fun to write together, actually. Ethan and I make a really great, wonderful team because we work on each other's strengths. We kind of counteract each other's weaknesses by our own strengths. So it's been really fun working with him on this level.
So how does the writing process work with what you do? The research, the sitting down and doing it, how does that work with what you do?
Well, the original book, Rowan of the Wood, was my idea, my basic storyline. And so I wrote the first draft of it, and I'm very much goal-oriented. I say I'm going to do something, and I do it. And Ethan is much more process-oriented, and so he's been working on the same book for 10 years. And so kind of for us, for me, it's like, okay, we're going to get this done by this time, and if we have to work overtime, then we're going to work overtime. So what it did was the two of us together, he brought in just a wealth of reading experience. I mean, he's a voracious reader. You never see him without a book in his hand or something. He's always reading something. And I'm a reader too, but nowhere near as much as Ethan is. Yeah. And so he was able to steer us away from a lot of stereotypes, like in the genre, because he has just read so very much more fantasy than I have. So he was able to steer us away from a lot of that. Although I wrote the first draft and had, the characters and the basic storyline and so forth as mine, he was able to fill it out with some subplots and peripheral characters. And we basically, we exchanged, we passed the manuscript back and forth through different drafts. I wrote the first draft, he edited and revised and, expanded it for the second, and then I took it for the third, etc. And that's how we wrote Rowan. Witch on the Water was much more, because the series had started, it was established, it's going to be a 5-book series in all, and because we were on the road, we've been on the road for over a year now promoting Rowan, that, there wasn't as much time. Like when I wrote Rowan of the Wood, I was working for Dell for a short time, and it was really a great way to get through those boring corporate meetings. I pretended I'd take notes, and I was writing my book.
Boy, I can connect with that.
Yeah, right. But on the road, you find it's much harder to find time because you're either driving from one place to the next, or you're, at a bookstore signing, or because we do weekend events like Renaissance festivals and Celtic festivals and so forth. And so it was harder to find time. So we ended up with the draft, even though we still kind of passed drafts back and forth, even the original draft was kind of co-written. we would discuss on where the plot was going, how the storyline was going, what was needed, and he would take a certain section, I would take a certain section, and then we put them together and revise them together. Because so much of the writing process is in the revision, and that, which is one thing that has been kind of freeing for me. I have 2 degrees in English, and I've kind of been dabbling in writing for forever, but I don't really like to work more than I have to. So I always wanted to get it right the first time. I didn't want to have to revise it. I wanted to get it right the first time. So I would sit and stare at a blank page, wondering how to start my story. You have to have this great beginning.
Yes, I know. I can't get past that.
Right? Well, then it dawned on me when I was 35, for almost 5 years ago, I'm going to be 40 in a couple weeks, 5 years ago, that it's like, duh, Christine, you don't have to start the story at the beginning. You can write because in the revisions is where you go back and get that great beginning or the great sentence that's going to start off your whole thing. Get the rest of it written first, because that's what the revision is about, is being able to go back and change things. So that for me, for writing, the most important thing is just to write. And don't worry about if it's crap, because you can change it.
I am so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because that's always been, I like to mess around too, writing, but it's, all these serious efforts, you're right. You sit there and you look at it and you think, all right, back in like one of my first comp classes where you have this killer first sentence, you've got to hook the reader immediately. And, everything you think of, well, that's dumb, that's not going to work. And so I never tend to get past that point, but
right.
I'm glad you gave me permission to start anywhere.
That's right. It's very, very freeing to say, you don't have to write that first part first. Write that first part last.
Yeah, and see, I like the revision part too best. I love to edit and things like that. Give me a manuscript and I can make it better. But getting me to write the original is the really hard part for me.
I think my problem is, like the other day we were talking about with F. Paul Wilson, and he's like, oh, you can start, you can start anywhere with those, but don't, you can go ahead and start at the 10th book. And both of us were like, you can't start there. You got to start at the first one. You can't go anywhere, but And that's my problem. Is like I can't jump to the middle. It's my mind starts telling me you can't do that.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
so that's my problem.
We're very much geared to start at the beginning and go through. But that's what's kind of freeing about the writing process. I teach composition as well at Austin Community College. And that's one of the things I really try to impart to my students is like, look, it's about revision. Don't wait the day before this is due and write your paper, because that's when you're supposed to be revising your paper, putting the finishing touches on your paper, not just composing it. Because whatever you get out first, it might be good. It might be great, but it always could be better.
Yeah.
See, that's my problem. I wait till the last minute for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
he does.
It's a horrible. That's my vice.
I think I heard you say you do that too. Did
me?
You
oh
yeah. See now, and how does that work when you're like sitting there with your students, like get started now, and then you're thinking, I wouldn't.
No, I wasn't. Well, certainly not when I was their age.
Yeah,
I didn't get really serious about college until I was probably about 22, or so I was like a junior in college. I got serious. Actually, the second book is dedicated to my mentor and friend, Dr. Ralph Pease, who was my Shakespeare professor in college at Sam Houston State in Texas. And it was released yesterday, no mistake, because it's his birthday. And he was really the one who inspired me and kind of turned me around in college. It's the reason I became an English major, the reason I got my degrees in English and so forth. And so I was like most of my students before I met Dr. Pease, and then I kind of got serious, so hopefully I might be that person for a student or two that comes through my class, because I am rather kind of hard-nosed about things. I'm very strict, so they definitely kind of have to, they step out or they step up, or they drop and take somebody easier.
Now, I want to, while we're still early, I want to throw out that you have a gift package that you want to give away. What does that
Absolutely.
include?
Okay, the gift package we're going to give away today is 2 signed books, both Rowan of the Wood and Witch on the Water, signed by both Ethan and I, as well as a handmade Vampire Slayer cross. Now, I mentioned before that we do these weekend events like Celtic festivals and Renaissance fairs.
Uh-huh.
What we do is we, Ethan and I also have like some artistic talent. And Ethan carves wood, and he makes these beautiful Vampire Slayer kits and Vampire Slayer crosses, as well as magic wands and things. And I do Green Man paintings because the myth of the Celtic Green Man is woven into our story as well. So we kind of have our own little merchandising with the artwork all related to our book. You can see that from my webpage, ChristineandEthanRose.com. Under the little author, there's a drop-down menu, and you can see different art that we do, and you'll be able to see the Vampire Slayer cross that we're giving away here on this show, as well as 2 signed books.
Okay, Nikki, how do you want to do this? Now, I don't want to give it to the first caller.
I've been thinking about that. You had the one thing about collecting names, and I don't know if Lola would.
I don't know. Lola, do you want extra work?
That's up to her.
Do I want to what?
Do you want extra work?
Well, what? Just tell me what it is.
See if we can have people call in and kind of register.
And then we'll draw a hat at the end.
Then we'll draw a name.
Okay.
Okay, so call in, give your info to Lola, and at the end of the interview, we'll be giving away this gift package that's got 2 signed books and a custom-made Vampire Slayer
I'm looking
cross.
at the Vampire Slayer cross right now. Now, is this Celtic script on the cross?
Actually, it was used by the Celts. It's Fusark runes. It's vampire. The words Vampire Slayer carved into the cross in Fusark runes. It's actually quite.
Okay.
Now,
this is really cool.
You were talking about the Green Man that your book is based kind of on. Can you tell me what that is?
Sure. The Green Man, a lot of people don't know him by that name. If you are looking, if you know the man who has his face is all made of leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you see a wizard's face carved into a tree or into a
okay.
staff.
Yeah.
This is the Green Man. The Green Man is so old, so ancient that he predates all written history. No one really knows where he started from. And he's prevalent in many different mythologies, Celtic being one of them, which is, on which our books are based. And he is the spirit of the forest. And if you go to Great Britain, any church that was built up through the 13th century, you will see an image of the Green Man higher than any Christian icon on that church, because the people who were building the churches were from the old ways, and they had to cut down the trees to build scaffolding to build these churches. So they were paying homage to their spirit of the forest, the Green Man. And so Rowan, while trapped in the wand for 1,400 years, as oral tradition took over, as Fiona was going through looking for the wand, she heard the story change from the wizard in the wand to the man in the tree, to where his story, Rowan's history, became intertwined with the spirit of the forest, with the Green Man.
Wow.
Now, is he good, bad, neutral? I mean,
benevolent, yes. Just neutral, really.
Neutral.
He's nature. Nature isn't good or bad. Nature just is.
Yeah.
A tornado might, rip through a town and destroy everything in its path, but it didn't do so out of, avarice or anger. It just is.
Okay. Now, how does this character? You said there is a Green Man character in your book?
Oh well, no. Rowan, the wizard who was trapped in the wand, his history becomes intertwined with this myth. And so people, when they refer, so it kind of becomes merged. So when people speak of Rowan, the image that they think of, or the image that is that of the Green Man, the man with the leafy face. And you'll see lots of it on that same art page on our website. You'll see lots of different images of the Green Man.
Oh, okay. That's neat.
And that's under authors, and you go down to art. I'm looking at a couple of them here. Yeah, it's really nice. I like the oils.
Thank you.
Now, are you the one that drew these?
I do.
Okay.
The Green Man paintings they're actually kind of cool if you see them in person, if you ever catch us at a show. They're all in repurposed wood, because all the wood that we use in our art is either repurposed or storm harvested. We never cut any part of a tree. We're very big into environmentalists and reusing things. And the background are actual pages from a test printing of Rowan of the Wood, decoupaged on the back, and then the Green Man is painted over the top. So
Very
they're
nice.
actually kind of cool.
I also like the journals, by the way. You have some journals here with
Yes,
the Green Man.
That's right. And we are actually, we'll be giving one of those away sometime, because I'm in the middle of a 2-week blog tour, so we're giving lots of things away these 2 weeks.
Very nice. Check
out on our tour schedule on our blog. But, the those Green Man journals are from a sculpture that I made in polymer clay, and then it's all made with recycled paper. The cover is molded recycled paper that's been hand painted. So they're kind of cool looking too.
Now I see here, I was looking at your inspiration, and it says here a mixture of the Whedon verse of Joss Whedon.
Oh yeah.
I know I'm a big fan of Joss Whedon, so I'm with you on there. For those that don't know, Firefly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and
Dollhouse.
And Dollhouse. Which are you watching Dollhouse? Being a fan of?
I am.
What do you think about it? I have to ask because I ask people when they're in, it's either they love it or they hate it.
I love it.
Yeah,
well, I certainly don't hate it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, and I think it's as it continues with a lot of Whedon stuff. You know, as it continues, it just gets better because you get it, because Whedon storytelling is very much based around the characters. I mean, you get to know and love these characters, and then you get the little inside jokes. He's the humor in his series is brilliant. It's pure brilliance, really. I just got my T-shirt that says Joss Whedon is my master now. I've learned more about storytelling from Joss Whedon. It's actually funny because people will look at Rowan of the Wood and see little Cullen with the glasses on the cover, and they know it's about magic and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, it's like Harry Potter, you know. And it's funny because, I mean, on the surface, I guess the kid wears glasses, he's an orphan, and there's magic, you know. I guess on a very surface level, it's similar to Harry Potter, but there is much, much more Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Whedon in the book than there is Harry Potter, because Whedon has this brilliant way of, he works up this tragic love between two people, and then he's sadistic with the way he rips it away from you just at the point where they're finally going to be happy and be together, and he rips it away from you. And he is a master of storytelling in that way.
So that's kind of like your sadistic side, right?
Yes.
That's where you get sadistic.
Well, you said Firefly. Is that those series that was on TV about space?
Yeah, it was the space one. That was Joss Whedon.
That was one of my absolute favorites ever.
Yeah. And you want to talk about angry. I was so mad they canceled that bloody thing.
I know it. Like halfway through the first season. It's a brilliant show.
Yes. Well, at least they made the movie that kind of closed things up. But that was so great.
See, and I'd always
still
thought
on
they would
once
bring it
in a
back.
while.
Yeah, I thought they'd bring it back after the movie because the movie did really well. And
well, the guy from Castle
was
in there. And I knew him from, of all things, One Life to Live, I think. He was
on One Life to Live?
Yeah, and he was really, really funny then. I mean, he was supposed to be.
Guy.
Yeah, and then on Firefly, there were so many little, well, like you said, little hidden jokes things that you've got to really pay attention to. And I was really excited when the movie came out, and I was hoping they'd bring it back, but no.
No, I know. It's really such a shame because it really was a great series. I was happy to see Fillion on Castle. He really is very funny.
Yeah.
All right. We got to take a break real quick. Are we good for that, Lo?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang out with us. We'll be right back.
All right.
Still call in. The numbers again: 304-214-1600. Toll free 1-866-514-1600. Give us a call. We're still registering. We got a bunch of names already, and we're hoping to give that out within the next half hour. So call in. We'll be right back on Whispers Radio.
Pulling out at first dawn's light. Gotta free my mind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Whispers Radio on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 6:34 p.m. And cold at downtown. I can't really get on my internet and surf around to find out the up-to-date temperature.
49 degrees.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
49 degrees.
Cold is just better.
Yeah.
We're still within the next, I want to say 20 minutes, we're going to be giving away 2 autographed books and a handcrafted, custom-made Vampire Slayer cross
Very
from our
awesome Vampire Slayer.
made and signed by our guest tonight, Miss Christine Rose. And we'll be giving that away. If you call in, leave your info with Miss Lola, and we'll be drawing that out. You with us, ma'am? Still there? Did we lose
still
you?
Here.
I
Nope,
Okay.
thought she left us and we scared her away.
Yeah, I should have told her you got enough time to run to the bathroom. I should have warned you that.
Now, your books, you said it was very deeply based in like Celtic mythology.
Yes.
Now, where does the vampire come into that? Is the vampire mythology mixed in with the Celtic?
Yes.
How do you do your
Yes.
research on that?
Well, I've had such a long love affair with vampires that it was kind of I couldn't not put a vampire in our books as the antagonist, because I absolutely love vampires. I don't even know where my love of vampires started. It must have been sometime in high school, but as long as I can remember. I mean, you remember that old movie, Love at First Bite, from George Hamilton? Loved that movie. It was one of my favorite movies when I was in high school. And then with the Anne Rice, the Vampire Chronicles, when I was in college, and of course Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know. I just have this thing for vampires, and it really doesn't have, that part doesn't really enter into the Celtic mythology. I mean, our 2, Rowan and Fiona, are druids, and they're Picts. They're tattooed all over their bodies, and it was during their wedding ceremony that they were attacked and so forth. So it kind of, the Celtic mythology is kind of where they started from. A lot of what we use between Rowan and Fiona is based in Celtic mythology. Some of the subplots, they're like the Sons of Fae, etc., are from Celtic mythology. But the vampire mythos is kind of woven in with the Celtic mythos. So it's not like one and the same.
It's kind of like, it's my book, I'm going to do whatever you want to, so
That's
shut up.
right.
Okay, I get you.
That's right. Yeah, so I use history. I use some history, some actual historical events. In fact, in Witch on the Water, I write Fiona into the 1918 flu epidemic when she was in New York. Some actual things that happened in to the Native Americans on the West Coast in California. So there are some actual historical events. There's some real mythology woven into complete fantasy. A construct completely of just mine and Ethan's mind.
Now, I noticed,
so it is a mixture.
I noticed you didn't mention Twilight in there, but you did mention first Buffy, and you got the interview with the vampire. So is this, and it bothers me that vampires have gotten to this point to be some kind of a sex symbol, kind of.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And I like my vampires, Nosferatu,
Oh, like
very evil, kind of, not exactly handsome.
And sparkly.
Well, you will not believe.
Sparkly.
Yes, that's sparkly. It's funny because I can't believe the amount of people who will come into our booth on the weekend and see the Vampire Slayer kits and go, "Why would you want to slay them?"
They kill people.
Oh my gosh!
I kid you not. And this one lady came into me. This weekend I finally said, I was like, well, I said, if they were about to make you your lunch, you probably would be happy to have a steak. And she's like, oh, vampires are the good guys.
She's been watching too much True Blood.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
I'm wondering if that's where they're getting, because I still have yet to see True Blood.
Oh.
I have like the book ready to read, the first book, but I haven't read it yet. And I'm wondering, is this where they're getting it? Because there are some vampire good guys like Angel and Spike after he was ensouled, and Edward, for example. But they're the exception. In every story, they're the exception. And so I don't understand.
Like they're conflicted people. There's a reason.
Well,
yes, exactly.
With True Blood, yes, you have good ones, and then you've got the ones that are your typical vampires that just go out and create others and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think between Twilight and, although I would hope kids are not watching True Blood, because it's the very first episode, I thought, you know what? Vampires don't really have sex, and these guys are like rabbits. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna, but I have watched it since then, and it's good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they there's supposedly this whole union, like, of vampires that are now drinking this synthetic blood. So they're
Right, it's called True Blood,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and they're trying to get integrated into normal society.
I see.
So
Obviously, it sounds like it's an interesting take, but it seems to me that it's like there are vampires that maybe have chosen to try to be part of society and go against their nature, but their nature are still bloodthirsty killers. And that's why I kind of get this, you know, I never cease to be shocked by the amount of people who come in and go, well, why would you want to slay them? And so I think that Ethan says that he wants to make a Vampire Slayer kit that says, or instead of a Vampire Slayer kit, because our Vampire Slayer kits say in case the vampire break glass, and then behind there's like a crossbow and snakes and holy water and stuff. So they're really cute little kits, you know, but he's going to make one that says in case of Edward, break glass, and it's going to have a bottle of wine and a rose.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, you'd sell a million of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we would. Yeah, so the whole Twilight craze is kind of it always amazes me what the public like latches onto, you know. And Twilight, I mean, I'm really thrilled that vampires are kind of in the limelight again. You know, and Twilight, I guess, helped bring them there. But and actually, when I read Twilight, I thought it was, you know, it was a good book. I mean, it was a decent book, you know, but I probably won't read it again. You know,
Yeah.
and even the Harry Potter books I read over and over again. But, you know, Twilight I probably won't read again. I thought it was kind of interesting that her vampire sparkled, you know, as opposed to dusted, you know, got burned up in the sunlight or whatever. I mean, it was an interesting change. And it was I thought it was a really beautiful love story. I just thought it was a little long-winded for me, the whole series, especially the fourth book. I couldn't get
And
through.
that's what I was going to ask. With your books, I mean, I know they're YA or young adult, but do you have a definite end to them, kind of like the Harry Potter series, where you kind of know where you're going, or is it going to be more of like a serial kind of an adventure sort of thing that keeps on going?
No, we know where we're going. It's going to end in the fifth book.
Sixth?
Fifth.
I'm sorry. I thought you.
Number 5.
Number 5. Is there any reason you picked number 5? I mean,
Well,
I
a
don't
couple
know.
of reasons actually, because we're like the first book is very earth-based. The second book, Witch on the Water, is based around the water. The third book will be based around fire. The fourth, air, and the fifth will be spirit. And so we were looking at the original, you know, classical elements. Also, the point of the pentagram, because Hollywood's done a really great job of kind of demonizing the pentagram, but it was originally a Pythagorean symbol, and it symbolizes the 4 basic elements, including plus spirit, and the circle signifies the unity of them all, and that's kind of where we're going with the series, that symbolism of the pentagram.
Now, is there other? I mean, I know you're adding in the Green Man. You've added in vampires. What other creatures or mythological, things are you adding to the books? Are you looking at like where do you think you're going? Are you going to add werewolves?
I don't really foresee werewolves. One of the girls, one of Cullen's little friends, his two best friends, Maddie and April. Maddie is dabbling in witchcraft.
Uh-huh.
And April is becoming a seer. We've had a touch of fairies, touch of dragons. There will be a dragon in the third book. But I don't think probably werewolves, and probably not zombies, even though I hear zombies are the next big thing. Probably not zombies.
Sorry.
Probably not.
I just think it'd be great to have a zombie in there somewhere.
But you know what, though? You never know. Because the characters, I know it sounds really weird sometimes to people, when they hear this, but the characters take you places. And maybe we'll get through the first, third book or into the fourth book and go, zombies. Yeah, I think that's what's coming.
By the 5th book.
By the 5th book, it's going to be...
just throw in a random...
Throwing up the wood with zombies.
Somebody came back to life and they're hungry for brain, and then that's the only thing you have to say about it, and I think that'd be really sweet.
And it'd be like the book's about zombies.
Be like, look, it's a
zombie. I'll mention a zombie somewhere in the books just for you.
See,
at least.
You just made my whole day.
Name it Jordan,
yeah,
and he'll be really happy.
He would come out and do your laundry and stuff and be your servant if you named it Jordan Klein and let it eat people or something.
Jordan, okay, a zombie named Jordan, you got it.
I'm in love. I want to shake your husband's hand. That's.
Oh man.
That's awesome.
Only you would think of that.
He's actually, every time we've had an author, he's been trying to get them to kill him off in his story. That's his goal, is to, this radio guy that dies, and he wants him to be it. I don't know. So.
And people think I'm weird for that, but I think, I think it would be great, because you think of these movies like, the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, to say, yeah, I was in that movie and I got ripped to pieces. Like, I think that would be awesome. I'd be like showing all my friends. I'd be getting the grandkids up out of bed. Look, Grandpa's in a movie. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. So you got it. Somewhere within the next 3 books, there'll be a radio guy named Jordan who dies and comes back as a zombie. You watch for him.
Oh, I'll read every single one of them.
And he will wake me up in the middle of the night. Nick, she really did.
Lucky, Nicky, lucky. That's how pathetic my life is.
Now, how well do you and your husband work together on this? I mean, are you constantly get it, like, you can't add that, or, any arguments, or does it work pretty smoothly? I mean, It
works pretty smoothly. I mean, like with the first book, since it was my series and it was my idea originally, so if there was any kind of question, it deferred to me. But now it's really become, now we're so, creating the rest of the story equally. And so we have, I think we work really well. We respect each other's ideas and our processes, and our perspective, expertise. So I think, we work really well together. And if there's a problem, we've learned, we're going to celebrate our 9th wedding anniversary next week.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And so, we work well together as a team, whether it's in our marriage or in writing books. And because, it's because we really have such a great relationship that we're able to write books like that together. And it's really been a joy, because it's gotten him off the roof. As I say, he was a general contractor for 20 years, and it's very dangerous,
Yeah.
On the roof, and you're working with power tools, and everything all the time, especially after 20 years of doing it. And so he's finally realized he's a published author, and I am very happy because I get to spend every day with him. We work together. We travel together with our 3 dogs and our cat in the Beacon, Mississippi caravan, and it's actually been a lot of fun.
Now, you're on tour. You're like is it a book tour right now?
Yes.
Where are you guys headed to? Where are you going now?
Well, we're currently in Kansas City. We're at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival. We've been there for the last 6 weeks, and this weekend is the last weekend of the Kansas City Renaissance Festival. So if you are listening in Kansas City or within a 3-hour drive, come see us. And next we are heading out west to California. We're going to do the All Hallows Festival in Central California. Next weekend, it's a first-year fair. And we're going to visit some family out there. Ethan has family out there. And then we're going to head back home to Texas for 2 months, where we're going to do several events, like the Austin Celtic Festival. We're going to do the Dickens shows. So it's going to be fun, do some book signings and so forth before we head back out on the road again in January, starting in Florida, do it all over again.
Wow. That's a lot of on-the-road time.
Well, you're not heading up this way then anytime soon.
Where are you, in New York?
No, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yep, kind of by Pittsburgh.
Not anytime soon, but we will be up that way next year.
Well, definitely let us know, and we'll just get you in the studio instead of doing it on the phone.
That'd be great.
Be a lot of fun.
And we'll promote the crap out of the next book that's got a zombie named Jordan in it.
That's right, Fire the Fae.
Jordan will have posters made, banners, and he'll try to get a parade.
You don't know what I'm capable of.
Excellent. Sounds wonderful.
All right, Lola, can we pick a winner?
Well, let me cut these up first, and then
okay.
we will.
Lola's cutting up the prize winner here, the grand prize master. I don't know. I'm just talking words.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Hubba Bubba.
Bubba?
Hubba Bubba.
Hubba Bubba?
Yes, I
Okay.
know who he is. He's a frequent.
Hubba Bubba? That's
yes.
the winner?
I thought
Yes.
she said just Bubba. I was like,
No,
okay.
Hubba Bubba. So give me a call.
Like Hubba Bubba.
Congratulations,
Okay,
Hubba
I'm sorry.
Bubba.
Hubba Bubba, you now own 2 autographed books, Rowan of the Wood and Witch on the Water, both autographed, and a custom-made Vampire Slayer cross. Now, what is that? Is that metal, or is that wood, or is that how?
It's wood. No, it's hand carved out
It
of
has to
wood.
be wood. I don't. Can you use a metal thing to kill a?
No, he's got to be through the heart with wood.
Yeah, I was like going to say. I mean, I don't think. Jeez, how many vampires have you slain? I mean, I stay busy during the weekend. Jeez.
Yep.
He would never survive a zombie attack or a vampire invasion. Actually, we know someone that has a zombie escape plan, so he might he might make it out.
Oh,
So,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's actually my landlord.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
I don't want to lie.
All right. I've got Hubba Bubba on the phone. Hey.
Hello.
Hubba Bubba.
What's going on?
You got the coolest name of anyone we've had call in yet.
That's awesome. I've had it since I was 6 years old. I'm 30. Oh, my gosh. How old am I? 38.
38. Well, congratulations, Hubba Bubba.
Thank you very much. My niece is going to love this.
Oh,
She
great.
is so big into the vampire scene right now. I mean, my wife and her mom took her to see Twilight, and she's head over heels about it.
Now, how old is your niece?
She's 13.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
This is a whole new vista then for her to start. 5-book series in the end. It will be. So this is another great series for her to start.
And hopefully she'll realize that vampires are not supposed to sparkle.
We have to stop this myth.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let her know.
Hey, thank you very much. Congratulations. And
Thanks for listening.
All right, thank you.
see ya, Hubba Bubba.
Bye-bye.
Hubba Bubba.
Yes.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, it is.
What's some bubble gum?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You know,
I'm sorry.
we had some ladies come into our booth one weekend and adamantly assert that they scientifically proved that vampires would sparkle.
What?
I'm serious. I kid you not. And I wish I could remember exactly what they said. They said something about their cells crystallizing or with, I forget what it is, but whatever it was, something happened to their cells after they turned into a vampire, and it crystallized in a certain way because they would have to, so they wouldn't die or change or anything.
I have
right?
2
The cells
questions about that.
and that they would actually sparkle.
Well, here's 2 people that really do need to get a life.
No. Let's go back and past that. There's a scientist that studied this. The 2 people, I mean, I can understand, you know, they're into the vampire scene, and the scientist, I want to know how he got the funding.
I don't know.
Could you see the report, you know?
Great if they were.
Oh, man.
They're supposed to turn to ash and blow away.
Well, that's what I was thinking. There was, yeah.
Well, if they could actually prove it, we should nominate them for a Nobel Prize next year.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
People are very passionate about it.
I'm sure.
If I just think it, I can win a Nobel Prize. I mean, all right, I won't get into
No,
politics.
Oh, man.
Christine, that is all the time that we do have. We'll have you back on. Just let us know when you're coming out with any new books, and
Absolutely.
we'll promote the crap out of it for you.
And if you're coming this way, if
Yeah.
you're coming this way, we're in Wheeling, West Virginia, right on Interstate.
Wheeling, West Virginia, like the song. Okay.
Yeah.
The song? Wait, I didn't.
That's all right,
It's
Nick.
a Billy Joel song. It's a Billy Joel song.
Yes.
I'm
it
sorry.
is.
I've got to
Home
go.
is Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yep.
I got to find this song.
Oh, my
I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know.
called the Ballad of Billy the Kid.
Yes,
I am writing this
absolutely.
down
And
right
I
now.
love that song. I love
Yeah,
that
it's a
song.
good song. I love Billy
Yeah.
Joel.
Well, if you love Billy Joel, you got to come then.
Yeah, I'm going to come.
We will get you
Okay,
into a
so
library and
We're going to
stuff.
come through with the Geekaless Gypsy Caravan, and we'll come into the
Hey,
studio.
come in the studio and we'll have a good old time.
Okay,
And
great.
thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your books, and we'll be talking again.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine Rose. We got her books and her website up on our website. So if you're interested,
And we didn't even ask her for it's witchonthewater.com. Witchonthewater.com. Let me make sure.
yeah, if you go to Whispers Radio
Yeah,
as well,
witchonthewater.com.
you'll see both of her books there. You can click on those and purchase those.
Oh. Yeah, now I know, have you been watching Conan O'Brien lately?
No.
He's been having this thing where, you know, vampires are really popular, and he has this, like, Edward-esque vampire that, you know, that's just kind of, like, leaning there, kind of, you know, all, like, slack and just trying to be as cool as possible, you know, and is conflicted and all, you know, the typical Twilight became a vampire, and like, hello, Mr. O'Brien, how are you? He's like, well, doing good. Bella, did you know that Bella quit? Bella quit. I'll never be the same again. And he'll run outside and see the sun and like throw his hands up, burst into flames. That's my kind of vampire. They gotta burst into flames. Or I'm not happy.
See what I think
this
is
whole story. Yeah, I know.
The greatest part though, if anybody watched hey, jump on my back, let's go on a vampire ride. Where she jumps on his back and they're like through the woods. I just think that's really funny. Actually,
we had some ladies on from Teen Dating Abuse that said, and I thought this when I was reading it, was that actually it's not a healthy thing. He's a stalker, and he
is a stalker. You are right.
And she is so dependent on him that she literally goes practically comatose for 6 months. Her life, she's 16 or 17 years old. What is healthy about this? Absolutely nothing. She becomes a vampire because she can't stand to live without him.
And he's not really 16 anymore because he's a vampire, so he's been that age for a couple hundred years. So it's very pedophile-esque. I don't know if that's a word.
Pedophilistic.
All right, you wanna hear that?
Yeah. That was a nice attempt at that. But I'm excited for you, by the way. You're going to be a zombie in a book.
I know.
I think she wrote it down. I think it's going to happen.
I do too.
All right, Lola's playing this song.
Oh, is this the Billy Joel song?
Yeah.
It's one of those bullshit songs.
God, Billy Joel, I'm going to kill you. Never mind. We're not listening.
We dumped Billy Joel. Yes.
Yeah, like this is really funny.
Did we have time?
I don't know.
Oh,
if we don't get any phone calls, I guess not. I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
Everybody listen to my voice. You heard nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, real quick.
Oh, no,
we did hear. All right, if anybody out there, we were talking about the Haunted Hills haunted house in Grandview Park. I have some tickets to give away.
How many tickets
for
we
that?
got?
I have 4 kid passes and 2 adult passes.
Now,
so usually the ticket cost is $10 for the adults, $5 for the kids. I mean, Mike's got the whole thing set up. I mean, there's a barn.
How are we separating them out? Are we giving away like 2 packs or? Well, like an adult and 2 kids or something?
Well, here's the thing. If you're an adult taking your children, you don't need an adult pass because the kids are going to do their thing. Mm-hmm. If you're an adult and you want to go, you're not going to want to bring your kids. So, I mean, tell us what you got. If you're like, hey, I got 2 little kids, let's give away 2 kid passes right now.
I caught it. That was not. That's our next guest.
Oh, okay.
We got 2 kid passes. Let's give away now. Let's just give away 2 kids and an adult.
Okay, well, yeah, you can't give just kids. Well, because they have to have an adult with them.
You don't have to pay for the adult pass if you're bringing kids, and you're just staying on that side. The adult pass is for the adult side of the haunted house. So,
never mind.
Anyway, call in.
I'm confused.
304-214-1600, 1-866-514-1600, and we'll give out an adult pass with 2 kids.
Okay, so you get 3 passes, 2 kids and 1 big person.
That's what is that? That's a $20 value right here from Whispers Radio.
Yes.
Now where's this happening again?
Grandview Park in Moundsville.
Okay. And where exactly? Because Grandview Park is huge.
Oh, there'll be signs, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have. If you as soon as you go into Grandview, you'll see the. It's where they're doing the disc golf.
Oh, they got that up now.
Yeah, the barn where the clubhouse for that barn is where they're having that. That barn is all set up for the haunted house. We're gonna be doing trails through the woods. Mm-hmm. And have scenes set up through there. The kids are going to have like all kinds of games and trick-or-treating.
Denny Lucas just won those passes.
Denny Lucas, congratulations. And we'll have him here at the studio. Well, I'll have it written down and speak with Mike about it.
Okay. All right, we got to go.
CNN, time for the break. And we'll be right back after the news. You're listening to Whispers Radio on AM 1600 WKKX and UPR in the U.S. Welcome back, everybody, to Hour 2 of Whispers Radio on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 7:06 p.m. here in downtown Wheeling. If you want to give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, toll-free, 1-866-514-1600. And we'll chit-chat with you. We got Mr. Tom Biscardi.
Yes, we do.
Nick, you want to introduce our guest?
He's a world-renowned Bigfoot hunter, currently out in the field in Arizona on the trail of Bigfoot. Tom, are you with us?
I am, Nick. Thanks for having us, but let me make you a quick correction.
Okay.
Texas.
We're in Texas. That's
My
correct.
apologies.
We had a call out at one of our hot spots out here in a place called Lamar Point outside of Paris, Texas. And we're here right now. And the people at the local restaurant, the Country Cupboard, was nice enough to allow us to have this conference with you guys because they got the only phone, believe it or not, for miles around.
Wow. Well, thank them for giving us the opportunity.
Tell them we really appreciate it.
Now, and I guess this goes into my first question. You're pretty much ready at a moment's notice to jump out and follow any clue or evidence that's out there, correct?
That is correct, Nick. And the reason we're here is because we have eyes, ears, and noses all over this country from where we've been before, especially we've transversed this entire country about 8 times. We've traveled 270,000 miles a year.
Oh, wow.
It happens to be one of the biggest, hottest spots in the world, as far as I'm concerned, not just here in the United States, but in the entire world. There's about 17 of these creatures out here. And those of you who've seen our movie, Bigfoot Lives, our award-winning documentary, Bigfoot Lives, we start off in our movie with Paris, Texas, or Lamar Point, and we end our movie with the same location. That's how hot it is out here. It's incredible. Just to name a couple of incidents, and what got me to take my A-team, Java Bob and Rob Price, from our digs going on in Arizona outside Seligman. We got a call from a contractor that during the day they saw this large, hairy man walking on two in excess of 7 feet tall and over 500 pounds. Not just because that incident, but there was like 3 to 6 others in the same region where they're talking about large primates, unknown primates, Nick. And we know the area quite well, and this is the time of year that these creatures are migrating north to south, south to north, of course, but there are resident creatures that have taken refuge here because of this is a sanctuary to them. You have to understand, this area was a shelling base, Camp Mace, in World War II, where they used to bomb a lot of the area. It's still a live ordnance area today. As a matter of fact, that we were just reading in their local paper here that within the last 6 months, 2 people had picked up one of these live shells, and one of them blew off their...
oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going on here right now. It's incredible. But
Wow.
This is also the same area in which I was hospitalized. I was bit by a copperhead, and I was bit with 362 chiggers. Thank God the weather is decided it's cooler here. And this is also the place that I got stuck in quicksand up to my belly. So it's quite a dangerous area. But I'll tell you what, I'm glad to be on your show tonight, and for your listeners' sake, it's a very exciting area, and we're happy to be here.
Well, we're definitely glad that you were able to make it. Now, your trip was kind of at a moment's notice, wasn't it? I believe before you were supposed to be in Arizona when we did this interview, Was it just recently that you decided to take the trip out?
Like less than a week ago, I know you were in Arizona, and your plan was to be, because we had talked about. That's why I put it on the website that you were going to be there. So I mean, it was just, all of a sudden, get up and move.
Well, yes, and yes to all three questions, guys. What happened was it was so compelling, the evidence that they sent me over with pictures, that I called my guys outside of Seligman, Arizona, and I said, be ready. I'm driving from California, where I was based, and it took me 12 hours, in which I drove straight through, and they met me at the bottom of the mountain with our rig, and we didn't waste any time, and we drove 19 hours from Seligman here to Texas. We got in last night, in which we met our key people, and the weather, of course, isn't the best, but it's kind of great for our business, because anything that's going to be roaming out here, it'll be laying its tracks down, and it'll stay because it's mud, because of the rain.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's a great point. But let's not waste any more time with where we're at in Texas, but me and my boys are here, and we're going to announce on your show, an exclusive, why we're out there and dug in Arizona, if you don't mind.
Hey,
sure.
let's hear it. I'm excited.
I'm going to turn the phone over right now to Jabba Bob. He's the vice president of my organization, Searching for Bigfoot. And by the way, all your listeners, while we tell this story, can go to searchingforbigfoot.com, click on the pictures there of Arizona, and they'll see the terrain in which we're being traversed right now.
Uh-huh.
See some of the caves in which these creatures are hiding out during the day.
Can you give that website one more time?
Yeah, it's www.searchingforbigfoot.com. And all they have to do is just click onto those two pictures in Arizona, and they'll see exactly where we're at. And, oh, by the way, we also have on there, courtesy of Java Bob, the actual toenail of one of these creatures that we've had the DNA being conducted northeast Stroudsburg in Pennsylvania. And then a mammologist, an expert on primates, went through it, and currently it's at the Smithsonian being analyzed.
Oh, wow.
Reason being, it's come back both times, 99% human and 1% unknown primate, fellas. 1% unknown primate. Now, you'll be able to see that now on our website, searchingforbigfoot.com, you and your listeners right now as we speak. Bob will get into it with you guys right now. I'm TOing the phone to Mr. Bob, Java Bob, from Searching for Bigfoot. Here he is.
Jabba Bob.
Yeah, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Great. What a pleasure to be on your show. I appreciate that.
We appreciate you, sir.
Tom's talking about this toenail. Let me tell you, it's one of the most amazing things we ever found. It's very often that we find physical evidence, and we send it out for DNA, and basically what they'll do is if they know it's from a Bigfoot researcher, it comes back, well, first of all, it comes back unknown animal, nothing on file. A lot of people think that DNA is the ultimate answer for things, but the way I can explain this is if you get DNA from a dog, any DNA that matches that is, it's from a dog. If you don't have DNA from a dog and you get DNA from another dog, you won't know what it is.
Yeah.
Nothing to compare it to. And a lot of people don't quite get that concept. There has been no body, there's no Bigfoot ever been found that they can cross-reference this to. So when we pay the money to have DNA done, typically it'll come back as unknown, possibly a primate. However, when they find out it's from a Bigfoot researcher, they generally try to kind of avoid working with it because it can be controversial and not necessarily good for their business. What we did this time is we had an associate member send it off to one of the most prestigious universities in the world when it comes to animal DNA.
Uh-huh.
They didn't know what it was. They didn't know it was from us, so they were totally shocked. And this time we got the valid feedback. We got back that it was 99% human and 1% unknown primate. Now, that doesn't sound too intriguing until you understand that, say, a chimpanzee is 98% human and 2% chimpanzee, which is a known primate.
Okay.
So now what that's telling us is that we have some unknown primate roaming this country of ours, which is what we've always known. But now we have empirical evidence to suggest that's the case. Prior to that, we had what they call intrinsic evidence. Intrinsic evidence is somebody seeing the creature and saying they saw it. That's pretty hard to prove with the scientific method.
So what are the chances that you guys actually, catch this creature? You got the proof that it's there. You've got people seeing it, so okay, this thing's over here hiding behind Old Man Wilson's shed.
Well, I think they actually mentioned they're at you have pictures here, and I'm looking at them now. Actual caves. You've got a water supply. It looks like outside of the caves, which is, something that we would need. You're actually pretty much you believe you've tracked them down to maybe where they live.
Absolutely, and that's why we are. I'm going to tell you this: we are still at that location, and I'll explain this in two ways. First of all, the owners of the property are camped there right now, watching everything. And the other way is that we have learned through them, who have had experience with this creature. If you look at that site, you'll see the face print on the window and the handprints where this thing has come and looked in the window of their camp setup. They have seen this over the last couple of years, and both times they saw it. It came by after the first rain. In that particular part of the country, you get a very cold snap for a couple of days. Then you get a week or two of warmer weather before winter comes in. And both times they had this encounter, it was during that period between the first snow and the winter coming in, when these things are really moving around, getting ready for the winter months, and they move through that area. Now, we have made arrangements to be able to leave here at a moment's notice after they get their first snow. So we will be back during that lull between the changes in weather, and we'll be there until we can bring this thing home or we get froze out.
Now, what do you think? Do you think this is it? Do you think that we finally have the proof, the evidence? Do you think we can actually catch it living, or?
We're going to do everything in our power to do just that. Nobody's ever walked down this road before. Every step we take is new territory. And, it's pretty easy with something about to say these are our plans and this is how they're going to work out. In this case, everything we do is brand new. So our plans are very strong and very specific, but it's pretty hard to predict what's going to happen. I can only tell you we're going to do our best. I'll tell you who's better able to answer those kind of questions is Tom Biscardi. I'm going to pass the phone back to Tom, and you can ask him.
Jabba Bob, thank you very much for
talking with us.
Speaking with us.
Yeah, and that goes to me too, Bob. Thank you. An excellent review of the nail. Fellas, I want you to understand one thing here. I've been doing this for in excess of 36 years.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
I've had 6 sightings myself, okay? The area in which that we're at, you're seeing it yourself on there, okay? It's a 12-mile ride on primitive roads to get there from the bottom of the mountain to the top. This gentleman's land is 40 acres. It's the last parcel on the top of this mountain. He's bordered by a reservation, an Indian reservation on one side, and the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, on the other side. We've gotten the permission of the reservation to cross over in the event that the creature does come and we chase it, and if it happens to go over in this land. And then on the other 2 parcels, it's private land, and we've gotten permission for those people because they never come up there, especially now during this time of the season. What I'm trying to tell you is it's so primitive that we have no running water, no electricity, okay? We're all self-contained, all right?
Wow.
The living accommodations, what you're seeing there happens to be 2, did you ever see these things that are left off in someone's garage or a driveway to store the store place, where you store things?
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay, it's a shell. That's all they've got there, okay, to get you out of the elements. And what he happens to be is very handy, in which he put some windows in a couple of them. And that one thing that you're seeing there about the actual handprint and fingers.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that.
It's incredible. Look at the size of those fingers, fellas. They're huge. You can actually see the prints of our fingers on there also. The same thing like with the ridges on the forehead. It's incredible, okay? But the thing that you got to understand is from the bottom of the ground up to where that window was is almost 10 feet tall. So
wow.
That's right. For something to look into that window had to be huge, okay? You know, now he's got a deck there now, but prior there was no deck when this thing was looking inside this window. Now, you stop and think, well, what's the terrain like? Well, you see it up there, but try to live in it for a while where, you know, you're hitting century temperatures during the day, and then at nighttime, because we're at 6,700 feet elevation, fellas, it drops drastically, and it gets down to 38 at night. So you really have to be adaptable to these kind of conditions. And I'm talking when the windstorm hits, the dust up in that area and the shale from these rocks, because that you could see a lot of the stuff up in that area. It was from a volcano. That's volcanic rock. What I want to do at this point in time, fellas, if I may,
yeah,
I'd like to put on one of our trackers and marksmen, Rob Price, and he'll tell you some of the conditions that he's been enduring while he's been up there. This is Rob Price.
Rob, all right, thanks.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
The condition we're living in is very primitive. You don't have any of the modern comforts of home, as Tom has stated previously.
Yes, sir.
I walk anywhere from 7 to 15 miles a day out there on this country, and let me tell you, it is rough. When I say rough, I mean you can wear a pair of boots out in a week.
Ouch.
There. And you have ravines and canyons to traverse. Some of the rock patterns are very unstable.
Exactly what part of what part of Arizona are we talking about here? I'm trying to get a kind of a mental picture of the map.
It's around Seligman. It's actually called Area 10. It's Area 10 or District 10, however they keep up with it out there with the game department for hunting purposes. But it's a very large area. How most people keep up with the scale of land is in acres. Out there, they keep up with it in miles.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it now here. I know if you go on Arizona Game and Fish Department, they call it Game Management Unit 10. Okay, I kind of get an idea. And so it's the Jalapa Indian Reservation is what he was talking about, or is it the I guess the one up north looks like Supai?
That's correct. It's the one the previous one as stated.
Okay, and that's a pretty big reservation. That is a huge area.
From our understanding of it, we have an actual Navajo, Chief Leonard Dan. We refer to him as Chief. He's not an actual chief, but as a matter of respect, we refer to him as Chief Leonard Dan, who has been out with us in that area and has guided us and instructed me in some of the, perils of the area. He's lived in Arizona since his retirement, and he grew up there and was born there. But he is a very intelligent man and I guess you could look at him as a wonderful instructor and teacher in the ways of tracking things out in the Arizona area. We encountered a couple of things that I might can brush on here just a second.
Okay.
But I've been setting up a lot of game cams out there, and we check these things twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And believe it or not, we set one up on one of these ravines looking down over a waterway, which when you get snow runoff, it fills up with water. And during the rain season, what they call monsoon, it also runs 8 to 12 inches of water. And in this area, goes up about, I would say, 25 to 30 degree elevation going up a hill. You can imagine it's about, when you get up the hill about 30 feet, you're about 20 feet off the ground. Then from ground level is what you would actually be trying to shoot if something were to come through there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, just to get an idea of the angle, I put a trip cam on a scrub bush up there, and I was having trouble getting it adjusted after tying it on to look down in that canyon area. Otherwise, it'd be a straight shot over the canyon, and you'd have to see something 30 foot tall come through there in order to catch it. So what I did was I found a rock, and the dimensions on it were about 8 inches long by about 4 inches across by about 3.5 inches thick. Just a solid piece of rock, a shell up there. I found it. It fit nicely between the camera and the tree in order to get the angle I needed to look down into the ravine. So I tied this thing to the tree, and I tied the camera in front of it.
I think there's a picture of you on there where the setup you used.
That's right.
Yeah.
And anyway, we tied this camera to this rock, which is tied to the tree. So we check everything. Everything checks out okay. We're sitting down there watching it all night. No flash goes off or anything. About 3 o'clock in the morning, a flash goes off. So I'm up looking. I got the night vision out. We're looking, panning the area. We don't see anything. So I tell Bob, I said, maybe it's just a little squirrel or, a rabbit or something come through and just trip the cam. No big deal. So we get up in the morning, about probably 8 o'clock. I slept about 2 hours that night. I walk out to check the camera, and guess what happened to the rock?
What's that?
The rock had been pulled out from between the camera and the tree.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
And the camera was readjusted, and the rock was sitting flat on top of the camera.
How big of a rock again are we talking about here?
8 inches long, about 4 inches wide, and 3.5 inches thick. So I'm talking about, somewhere between a 20 to 30 pound rock.
Yeah.
It wasn't just going to fall over.
No, I had it tied with a nylon twine that was rated at about 500 psi. It's big around as your finger. That's what I had it tied to the tree with. So something reached in between that camera and that tree and snatched this rock out and set it on top of the camera.
So here's a question that I have, and you guys are all out. You've been doing this a while. What do you do if one of them comes out at you? When you finally see one and it runs out and it's coming after you, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to TO that back over to Tom, who will explain some of our procedures and protocol to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, Tom, we want to know what kind of goes on during the investigation. How do you set up? Because Nick and I are ghost investigate. A little tongue-tied there. We do ghost investigations, and we're really not too knowledgeable on what goes on during a Bigfoot. You guys are in the field. The closest thing I've done to Bigfoot investigating is camping. I don't know what goes on, what kind of personal protections you guys take. Can you touch on that for us?
I can, and it's a great question. But before I do that, I want to do a PS to what Rob just told you.
Sure.
It's an important thing, and he knows not to say anything, but I'm going to release it to you and your listeners at this point in time.
Goody, goody, goody.
When he checked on those images, when he brought that the little chip, the little sleeve that he takes out of there and brings it on the computer to check and see what images we've got,
yeah,
there was an arm of a hairy creature that had triggered that trail trip camera.
Now do you I'm taking it. I've looked through these. You don't have that up yet on your website. Will that be going up soon?
It will be. It will be. Now let's get and I just want to give you the lick of the lollipop there. But I normally don't release things like this, okay? Because we have a side that with all the big stuff, and we kind of categorize them all. You see, we're right next to Area 11, where the Mogollon monster is. That's the Mogollon Ridge, in which it's also the same thing as a Bigfoot.
Okay, so is that like an Indian word, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's pretty much the same. And I got to tell you, we're working in conjunction with these guys. We've been kind of tutoring them along. It's been an incredible adventure over this last 6 weeks that we've been there. But to answer your question, we have probably the most high-tech equipment made available to man at this point in time. The stuff that we have, you just don't get on the shelf. Due to the fact of a lot of the Navy SEALs, Army Rangers,
and law enforcement people that are connected with us, they've done a great justice for us. We have a biopsy rifle. A biopsy rifle is something that it works on CO2, a canister, and it's a dart in which that the projectile, when it's released from the gun to its target, if it hits it, okay, it will take some blood, a piece of the skin, and the hair, and it'll be lodged in this type of dart. Now, when this creature, whatever it may be, is hit and he runs, it will eventually, if he doesn't take it out himself, it will actually fall off. And it's a neon-colored projectile in which we will find it and get it analyzed. But let me explain something to you. These things travel at such a high rate of speed. It's incredible. And for anybody to be that lucky to shoot one of these things with a biopsy gun, i.e., with a rifle, 30-06, with a handgun, you have to be pretty damn quick. Now, you asked the question, what happens if one of these things had attacked us or tried to attack us?
Yes, sir.
And I'll be totally honest with you, and I want your listeners to understand and put yourselves in our shoes. You're up at a large elevation, 6,700 feet. The only thing that we got protecting ourselves is ourselves and our firearms that we use for protection for ourselves. I'll guarantee you this. Any of your listeners, even yourselves and myself, you see something charging you, okay, that's making a vocalization like it's going to come and get you or try to kill you or harm you, I'm sure you, your listeners, and myself are going to do one thing. We're going to protect ourselves. It's called self-defense.
No hesitation.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Now,
I'm the first one to sit there and tell you. We're going to do everything we can to capture this thing. We have a cannon net. We have the tranquilizer guns. And the thing that blows my mind, fellas, you hear all these people say, oh, well, I got tranquilizer guns, and I got this, and I got that. Listen, there are special darts. And by the way, you have to get these things from veterinarians who are licensed. You just can't go to the store and say, okay, good. Can I have some tranquilizer darts? I'm going out to hunt for Bigfoot. Don't work that way. Okay?
They're probably going to look at you strange anyways if you do.
Exactly, yeah. So you have to be a licensed professional man as a veterinarian, and they have to be a part of your team. They have to be credentialed. And at the same point in time, there are different sized darts for different sized animals. Now, you don't know what you're going to run up against. And are we one of the barkers in the carnival that's going to guess your weight and height? I don't think so. But we've been doing this for so long that we can pretty much gauge them due to the fact of the impression that it leaves in the ground, okay? Because of what we've done in the past through the many years that have gone by.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, there's not a toy in our arsenal right now that we don't have to assist us. And I'll tell you right now, the area that we're in right now, up at Area 10, and right now where we're at ourselves in Lamar Point, is probably the hottest areas in the world. Not just our nation, but in the world. And like Jabba Bob said and Rob said, and I'm going to tell you also, okay?
Yes, sir.
We're not coming back unless we get this creature. We've dug in, fellas. We've dug in.
I think the obvious question I have, and I want to ask is, if you're at the cave, first off, how deep are these caves? Have you went into the caves at all yet? I personally wouldn't go into the cave myself, because it's going to be close quarters, and I don't know. It's a hard question to ask. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are you claustrophobic?
No, I'm just thinking that if there is something in there, I don't know if I'd want to reach it in its own territory, where it's going to be very hard to
run out in fear.
Yeah, I'm being practical.
And you know what? I'm glad for your practicality, because not many people are, and you have hit the nail right on the head. Okay, you're real. Okay, I enjoy talking with you.
Well, great.
You're a real person, and I'll tell you why. These other people that live in these imaginary worlds think it's so easy to traverse. Those two caverns that he found there, okay?
Yeah.
That shale, I'll never forget the first day that he brought me up there to see it. You have no idea how quick, like he said, you know, his boots wear out after a week's time because it cuts the soles and the heels. And you have one slip, and here you're going down the mountain 5 to 10 feet. And then you got to traverse your way back up. So it's tough. Now, let alone knowing what's inside that cave, especially at night. You know, I'm going to tell you something else, which they both failed to explain to you, that there's a cat up there right now roaming this area that's in excess of 325 pounds.
A cat?
Yeah, a mountain lion.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm going to tell you
Sorry, it took me a minute.
Okay? I've done a lot of hunting in my life, bear, cougar, mountain lion, and the largest I ever ran across was about 210. This is one old and big cat, all right? Now, that just proves one thing, that there's for it, plenty of water, and also there's plenty of feed up in this area for these creatures. Now, the ones that are residing up in this area and traveling from Area 11 to Area 10, you'll be able to see that. Bob has posted it on there from AP and the Mogollon Ridge. You'll be able to see a female creature there that was taken on one of their trail trip cameras, which you'll see the eyes, nose, shoulder, and pendulous breast. If you scroll down, fellas, you'll actually see that one that was taken on the area right next to us, Area 11.
And which pages again? They use it Area 11?
Well, you don't need. All you have to do is go to our front. Go back to our home.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the front page. Okay.
searchingforbigfoot.com, and then scroll down, and you will actually see those photos there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to TO the phone to Bob, because he's our webmaster, and he makes it all happen. He'll tell you exactly where they are.
Yeah, hi.
I was going to say, I heard someone laughing there. Was that you?
No, that's somebody. We're like we said, we had to go where there was a phone.
Gotcha.
We're in the office of a small business up here, the country covers.
We were looking for the. He was talking about a picture of a female Bigfoot, I guess.
Yeah, on the if you go to the home page, if you scroll down, it's on that page. Now, this is a long page. For your listeners who want to go to this site, www.searchingforbigfoot.com. We have hundreds of pages on this site. When you first get on the page, if you go to the left-hand column, you'll see something that says Table of Contents. It lists out specialty pages. It lists out pages by state, and it gives a short description of what's on each page. And you'll realize how big this site is. Now, these pictures that Tom are talking about are on our front page, but they're quite a ways down. So just scroll down the front page. The picture itself is kind of a bluish purple color, and it has a slight bit of magnification on the animal in question here, so that it shows up a little better. But that's on our home page. Now it's a very elaborate website. Has a lot of stuff on it, so you just I only could suggest you go through and enjoy yourself, because
it is pretty extensive.
And that's searchingforbigfoot.com for those of you that missed it. Now, what was your name again, Bob?
Java Bob. They call me Java Bob because my last name is Smallsback. That's too big of a mouthful for anybody, and I used to own a coffee shop.
There you go.
Now,
I think it's pertinent at this point in time, since you're talking to Java Bob, why don't you ask him how he got into this industry? Because it's a very interesting story.
That was going to be my next question. How do you go from a coffee shop to out in Arizona looking for Bigfoot?
Well, it's more bizarre than that. I started out as an engineering manager for Bell Labs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a very technical background. I retired. I moved up to the smallest or the most remote village or town in the continental United States, a place called Happy Camp, California, to retire. And while I was up there, it's a very long and involved story. I go through it in the book Monsters, Myths, and Me, which is also available there on the front page.
Okay.
But what happened was I became the president of the Chamber of Commerce, trying to figure out how to bring some more tourism up to this town after the spotted owl kind of killed our lumbering business history. And we called in the county who brought in their economic advisory board, and they suggested find something you already have. And so we decided on our artist community, which is very talented, and a lot of people move up to get away from people and concentrate on their art. But after the meeting, one of the members, Linda Martin, who owned our local newspaper at the time, said, well, what about Bigfoot? Everything in town is revolving around Bigfoot. You own Java Bob's Bigfoot Deli. We live on the federally recognized Bigfoot Scenic Byway. You know, every business is Bigfoot something. And my answer to her was, that's a little controversial for the Chamber of Commerce to get involved in. But I'll tell you what, if you want to look into that, I'll support you personally. Well, she called around. She got on her website and or a computer and looked all over the country at all these different so-called Bigfoot research organizations and contacted them. Well, as I learned later, most of these people do most of their work from the web. They don't really go out and investigate anything. But one person did show up, a guy named Tom Biscardi. And Tom asked me, do you believe in Bigfoot, when I met him? And I said, well, no, not really, but I could see it's possible. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, young man. He said, just come with me and you see what we find out there and you make up your own mind. And to cut that story down to a reasonable size, I'm the vice president of the company now.
And I think that's the problem with, a lot of people have you either, in this room, I think I might be the only one that's really, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think there's a possibility, just because I know there's a lot of animals that are found. I know Jordan, for certain, is not that big of a, I think unless one came and hit him upside the head, it's going to be hard to sway him towards it. Would you say that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Tom's outlook is, look, it's not up to us to convince anybody. It's up to us to prove it.
Yeah, and
that's
what a lot of people, because you can throw all kinds of evidence out there until you catch one,
See, well, Bob, I got some questions. Or Lola, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. Where are the bodies? If there are some of these roaming around, they can't all possibly get to like the elephant graveyard in Africa. They have to. You'd think they'd fall off a cliff or something. So what happens to the bodies? And then second, if there are ones running around, they have to have at least single family units. They have to be reproducing. And, with that kind of evidence laying around, I would think it would be a little bit easier to catch them, because let's face it, which one of us hasn't lost a kid once in a while,
Sure. Well, you know what? Those are really excellent questions. And rather than try and answer them in a way that people really have to question, why don't you go to our website, go to the table of contents. If you want to see a skeleton of one of these creatures, go down to Texas, find one where the description talks about a skeleton, and go to that page. You will see a skeleton that's 109 inches long. That's over 9 feet tall. You'll also see the printout of the genomes from that skeleton, which is non-human. Very similar. Those are the bones that don't exist.
Right. This is Texas, you said?
Yeah, it says possibly the most important find in recent history is what the title of it is.
There you go.
No, I saw a picture of the toenail. That's a pretty big toenail.
Yeah, that toenail was pretty huge.
A
2-inch toenail, I think it was?
Now, you also asked about would there be, families? You'll also find pictures of some of the footprints we found. One of them was a male, a female, and the infant that was walking along behind them. We have those prints. We also have the analysis of the bone structure of these prints, which are different than a human being. So all these things that you hear don't exist, all these bits of evidence that people tell you, well, how come they haven't found these? They exist. We have them. They're not shown is because nobody knows what they are yet.
Sure. And I think that's one of the things. First off, most people, when they tune in to hear about Bigfoot, they all think it's going to be Washington State or British Columbia, right up above that. Yeah. I mean, that's where you almost always hear the Bigfoot sightings are. The next thing it's usually going to be probably the Patterson film. That's really about it. I mean, a lot of people don't think that there's one. I know we have close to here is the Grassman sightings. Was that Grassman, right?
Yeah, Grassman.
Grassman. So, I mean, and the skeleton. I'm looking at it now. It actually is pretty. I'm going to have to read through this. That's I'm glad you pointed me out to that. I wouldn't have found it for a while.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a very involved site.
Now, were you at this site here for this for the skeleton? Did you see it yourself?
I absolutely was, and yes, I did.
Now, how was this found?
I have one tooth from that skeleton in my personal museum. We left everything there because we didn't want to disturb it. But this tooth fell out of the jawbone, and I put it in my pocket, and I have it at home.
Now, it says here the remains were measured. We measured were 9 foot 3 inches long. And this is a full skeleton, correct?
That's correct.
Jeez.
Now we've had people talking about Bigfoot on the show before, and they claim that the bodies are actually absorbed through the acids in the ground.
Well, I'll tell you this. I lived in the most remote town in the continental United States, and it's very rich with different game. And in a natural environment, those things do disappear very quickly. Rodents eat them for calcium. They scatter them around. Leaves fall in the forest, cover them up. It's very rare to find a bear skeleton. Very rare. Only a handful have ever been found. Yeah. But we all know bears exist, but they live in remote areas. So that is true, but that's not the only answer. I think, and this is just my opinion,
I
think that what happens is most of the people who are considered experts spend maybe 2 weeks a year out in the field. We go out in the field every time we find what appears to be a viable story that has that fits some basic requirements that indicates it may be true.
Now, how long during a year do you and Tom spend out in the field? I mean,
well, we travel between 120 and 220,000 miles a year, crisscrossing this country every year, investigating sightings. And
so you're never really home. You said you went to retire, but you sound like you're working more than you did before.
I'll tell you what, and this is the truth. I mean, we're talking on a personal level. This has awakened a passion in me that had long since gone dormant, because I feel the excitement of discovery is like makes me feel like a kid again. And I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I'm shocked every time I go out. Now, this is a lot of hard physical labor. I mean, it's getting a little hard on this old body of mine. And we spend hours and hours and hours of just downright hard work and tedious investigation, going through pictures people send us, frame by frame, and VCRs. It's been weeks evaluating these pictures. But when we're out in the field, we'll spend, like Rob was explaining, day and night watching these pictures and evaluating what we get. So hours and hours and hours and hours of tedious, frustrating labor, punctuated by moments of sheer terror.
Wow. Well, at least it'd keep you on your toes.
It does.
I couldn't do it because I would be very afraid that I would find something that it would find me.
The dedication alone. Yeah. Tom said a minute ago, you guys aren't leaving Arizona until you have it.
Well, Tom has been doing this a long time. When I first came out, I was very skeptical, and it was just something I just wanted to know. Tom never tried to convince me of anything. He just simply said, come out and see what we see.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first day when I talked to him the first time setting up the interview. He's like, well, you can come on out if you want.
Oh, he's very open.
Yeah.
He's very open about this. We have, we're out there. We had a reporter from ABC out there who came and he asked me as we were going out to the site. That was actually here in Paris, Texas. How are you going to convince me this exists? And I told him, his name was Bob Hallmark. I told him, Bob, that's not what I'm about. You're just here to see what we see. If we find something, great, but there's no guarantees. That gentleman saw the creature himself, got in front of his own camera, and said, very politically correct, he was very, very careful how he worded it, that after seeing where these things were digging in the mud, seeing the prints, seeing the scrape marks in the clamshell where they were eating the clams, and seeing something very large and very fast run off into the tree line through this swamp, he'll have to reconsider his skepticism about this creature. And did you know that they nearly fired him for that?
Really?
Because he represented ABC News. And for ABC News to say on their own cameras that they saw a Bigfoot, for most of the country that would make them say, well, we better not listen to ABC. So these guys are all very careful what they say, and they've committed to being on one side of the fence, and to jump over to the other side is very difficult.
You know, I want to add something to that story. That same gentleman,
Yes.
who will not speak to us now.
Really?
Oh, that's right, really. And they will not let him because out of the penalty of him losing his job.
Jeez.
For 3 months after that incident, took a leave of absence because what this man saw will occupy his mind for the rest of his life. Man hasn't been straight since, I'll tell you that.
So they threatened him with his job if he even talked to you. Like, wow.
Oh yeah, you have no idea.
We have a free media in the United States.
All
people.
these different areas, okay, and see what we've experienced, okay, in the Sequoias. We've been up in the Sequoias where there's actual electrified fences, and we met a guy that just retired. He's been there since the 60s, who they've been guarding this area and had supposedly a family pod. Lola, this will be interesting to you. You asked about, if they're having a bunch of others there. Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a supposed family pod there, and I was kind of out there like that guy Michael Mayer, the guy that did these controversial movies, and I said to him, on the penalty of law, throw me in jail. Go ahead, because I was going to penetrate the electrified fence and go in there and expose it. But supposedly the way the story goes is our government has 3 or 4 of these creatures in this area, and they're studying them as we speak now.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, fellas, I enjoyed being with you. I've got 37 people out here ready to give us their incidents and stories. But God love you people. Thanks for having us. It's been.
We'll be in touch, and tell them all hi from Wheeling, West Virginia.
And when you finally catch it, because you said you're not leaving until you get it, we want you back on to talk about it.
I'm going to give you a personal invitation, Jordan.
Well, I appreciate that.
Here's what I'm going to do, all right? And I'll even pay your way.
Oh.
One way, though. One way.
Okay.
Give him to the creature.
I'm going to pay your way, and I want you out here in Arizona or Texas. And then after you see what we see, what you hear what we hear, and possibly hear and see and feel and touch what we have out here, and you change your tune, I may pay your way back.
Well,
that goes for you too.
Oh, thank you.
Now
you just extended the wrong invitation because we'll be out there.
They're packing now. Yeah.
Well, we'll take you up on that. We'll be in touch. Searchingforbigfoot.com, is it updated all the time?
Well, that's another story in itself. It took them 160 miles round trip going through city to city where they were to just get up what you saw there now.
Okay.
Because that's how tough it is and remote it is in the areas.
I was going to say, you can't just update it from when you're in a place with only one phone
for
miles. It's going to be hard to update.
What's the best way to keep updated on what you're doing?
Listen to our radio show every Wednesday night on BigfootLiveRadioshow.com, Blog Talk Radio. We're the only existing for the last 3 years now. We're going out to 32 countries. We stream out to 32 countries and have about 4 million listeners.
All right.
Right.
That's
and
awesome.
It's huge. We'll be on tomorrow night. We're going to be broadcasting live from Lamar Point, and we'd love to have you stream out and call in because we're telling everybody about you guys.
We'll do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom Biscardi. Searchingforbigfoot.com. We want to thank you very much for your time, and thanks, guys.
Be well. God bless you.
You too. Well, I might just have to take him up on that, Lo.
I was going to say, Lola,
yeah.
He's paying your way.
I know.
I might have to do the show next week by myself. But
it'll be Nikki and Biffy.
Oh, yeah.
Nick and Biff in the evening.
You want to go?
I'm looking at you guys, and you both got this smile on your face.
I know. It's a road trip.
If I were you, I think, knowing you guys, I would probably pick the Lamar Tech. Well, not knowing Lola. Jordan, you'd never make it in Arizona. They said it was very hard, rough
country.
I have to buy some boots.
Several pairs, it sounds like.
A net and a big gun. Because I know, like, if a grizzly's coming at you, it takes quite a few bullets to...
I don't think the net would work.
Yeah, I don't think either.
But,
I could see you bopping around with a butterfly net.
I would... I would be interested if you guys went out and something happened, how quickly, to see what your change... It would be... I'm all for this. I'll be here.
Prove it to me. Yeah, I'm not saying that I would never believe, but
I will say he's the only Bigfoot person we've had on here that said, "Come on out, I'll show you."
True.
Well, and I'll tell you, Java Bob.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, and he
answered your questions most of the time. They go right, and for a second there, you were like, "Oh, you're gonna blow smoke," but then he's like, "Well, there's a skeleton." I'm like, well, "That's a big skeleton. That's 9 foot 3 inches. That's a big boy,
Well, it's just it. Everybody else kind of sounded, well, I don't know, like they're trying to sell something.
Yeah.
Like it was a salesman, and Java Bob just didn't come across that way.
Yeah.
Maybe because he fully admitted, I didn't believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
It took actually being out there and seeing.
Well, I did look up the Bob Hallmark Bigfoot, and on their website there is there's a video here where this guy reported on it. Let me see. It's on Video Player KLTV. I'm wondering if it's still up, since they did threaten to fire the guy.
Hey Lola, while he's babbling,
we have 1 minute.
Okay, the name of the lady that won the tickets. Do you remember her name? Because we had to go to the commercial really quick. I didn't write it down.
Denny Lucas.
Denny Lucas
won the ticket.
And next week, I know we only have 1 minute. We'll have Stanton Friedman joining us again. Okay. So
Stanton Friedman, UFO, Roswell. He's the first
round 2.
Yes.
First civilian investigator at Roswell.
Well, Stan this time, he was one of our very first guests.
And we were very, very, very
nervous.
We're amateur still, but we're not as amateur as we were.
No,
that was a big, We
it
were
was that was a big coup to get him on.
So quick, and he was very nice.
Stan will handle you this time.
We got your number now,
That's right.
buddy.
That's right.
That is all the time.
He might not come back now. You guys are threatening him.
All right, remember
know where you are.
Tomorrow, if you're local and listening, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, if you want to come down to Grandview Park, we need volunteers for the Haunted Hills. It's going to be a good time, a new beginning for Marshall County.
And if you're not local, drive on down.
Yeah.
Come from Texas.
We need some volunteers.
Canada.
Yep.
All right, that's all the time we got for this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until next time, don't be afraid, only believe.